Hello, let's go over the Florida Teacher Certification Exam. This is part number 2. Just want to go over some things very quickly. This is a radical sign. Anything under the radical sign is called the radicand. And so therefore you have this whole term, both a variable and a constant, or a variable and a number, under a radical sign. And our first problem is the square root of x minus 2 equals x minus 4. And all of this is under the radical sign. So it's a full radicand, which means we can't start just going minus 2 or plus 2, the opposite over here, and then changing the equation and getting x minus 2. We can't do that yet. So just keep in mind, whatever is under that radical sign, it has to stay there. Okay, so now let's go over here, and I wanted to go over something that if you had a radical sign, it says you must get rid of. Okay, but let's look at why. Because this radical sign means you're to the square of something. And if you want to get rid of this sign, this whole thing under the whole radicand, if you want to get rid of it, everything under the radical sign, you've got to square it. But if you square over here, you've got to square over there. So this is all written here. You can download this. Okay, now look. I just said you had to square both sides. And if you were to square, you get both of these, x minus 2, x minus 2. Don't change this sign yet. Same thing over here. Don't change the sign yet. Okay, so now I want to go over why we're squaring it. Because the exponent 2, if I say 9 squared, I mean to take 9 times 9, and I will get 81. Squared means to take it 2 times. Okay? I'm sorry. I think it writes better if it's larger. So 9 squared equals 9 times 9 is 81. 3 squared, come on, you guys in Algebra 1 know these, is 3 times 3. And that becomes a 9. Okay, what if I say cube something, or if your teacher says to cube something, to get the cube of something, just means to take this number 3 times, and that number is 29 times, 3 times 3 is 9, and then 9 another times would be 27. So make sure that when you have this, you know it's 2. That's all I'm saying. Don't start jumping to conclusions thinking you can take it to the 4th root or to this. You're taking it to the 2nd root. And when you get ready to go to Algebra 2, don't think that, it stops at those roots. Don't think that it just stops at the squared root. Okay, so now we're on the next step, or step 4. Here in your notes it says the side where the radical sign was not located, and please keep in mind that you can download these notes. Why are we doing this? Because when we get ready to add, and I keep doing this because this is where it started, this is where you have x minus 2 by itself, but before you take the x minus 2 over here so that you can actually solve the equation, we need to make things easier, because if you think about it, you're going to do x minus 4 times x minus 4 and then minus negative x minus 2, which is going to add you into this kind of 3 variable equation. And you've done that. I know you do it in Algebra 1 and definitely in Algebra 2, but we're trying to keep things simplistic right now. So we're going to FOIL this side, and when we get ready to FOIL, we're doing first, outer, inner, last. And so it was done here for you. And you have your first term, x times x is x squared. You have your negative 4x. Please keep in mind that's a negative. That's your outer. And then you have your inner term, which is here, times another negative 4x. And you should be putting this together. And then your last term is -4. So you have -4 times -4. But over here, we went over our rules. That's our powers rule, where -4 times the negative is a positive. So now you have x squared minus 4x squared minus 4x squared plus 16x. And when you look at this and you do the math, you have x squared minus 8x plus 16. Okay, now let's go to the situation where we bring this x over here. I just put some rules on some notes over here so you could see what this is, but we already did this. And we're going to take this over to this side so that this goes away. When we take the negative x minus 2 over to the other side, guess what happens? This is a negative 1x right here. And this is a negative times a negative, which was done here. A negative times a negative equals a positive. So -1 times -2 equals +2. So then you have x squared minus 9x plus 16 plus 2, and you know that this is 18. Let's go on to slide 9. You're going to see how we get it done. You have this on the next slide where you have 1x as you took it over is equal to x squared minus 9x plus 16 plus 8 is here is 18. Your x minus 2 was taken over onto one side. You got x squared minus 9x plus 18. That is your new factor. Hey guys, this x minus 2, it was already factored out when you squared it, so that's your equation. Now, you want to ask yourself a question. What numbers are going to add to -9 and +18? -3 plus -6 equals -9. -3 times -6, remember, two negatives become a positive. So pretty easy when you look at it to just see that this has to be 6 or 3 and something. And this could be 3 and 6. This has to be 3 and 6 too. And you could try to think 9 and 2. But guess what? 9 and 2 doesn't go here. It doesn't go evenly. So it's 3 and 6. Okay, so then if you wanted to go ahead and solve it, that's your answer. You would have x minus 3 or x minus 6 when you get ready to factor it. So that's done on the next side, and we went and checked it to see if this would work, and it factored back with your FOIL method again. And with your FOIL method, you had x squared, that was done here. You had minus 3x, and then you had, again, you had minus 6x, and then you had your last term, -3, so it FOILs out, and those are your choices. So you have an equation. Okay, the Pythagorean theorem is often on the same page as this equation, which is 6 squared equals a squared plus b squared. And usually that's with a triangle. The hypotenuse happens to be the longest side. So usually you put AB and they make this side a C. It's not really needed for this equation. This is a distance. And this is a straight find the distance between the points. The points were given to you. Your x1 is here because it's the first terms that are listed. Your y1 is here. Your x2 is here. Your y2 is here. And then you have x squared minus x1 plus y squared minus y1. So we're going to put them straight in here. It's the next slide. Okay, so you have 6 minus 3. That's this 6, x squared, x1 plus 4 minus 5. 3 squared, 1 squared. This square is under the radical, so is this square. You have to keep your squares under the radical. Sorry guys, I know when you're doing square roots you're taught not to, but this is not the square root of 9 plus 1 equals square root of 10. And if you remember, the square root of 9 is 3, you know that this has to be a little bit over. Okay, and a lot of people are tempted to go 5 to the square root of 2. Don't do that. You're not ready for it, okay? $3.16 is the answer. Okay, in a poll of movie theater attendees, 3,200 of the 4,000 attendees lived in the same area as where the theater was located. On the average, 12,220 of the moviegoers visit the theater each month. Estimate the number of persons attending the movies who live in the area. So, first thing that you want to do is you want to figure out what's going on is you have to look at the number of people who attend. So let's go ahead and do that. And it's 33,200, but we can do 32 because these zeros are extra. And so that's 32 out of 40, which we now get because 8 goes into both of these numbers. Basic timetables. So 8 times 4 is 32. Eight times 5 is 40. So that's where you're getting this 80% from. Okay, so you have to determine, so that's 80%. And then you take the 80% and multiply it by 12,220. Let's do this. If you were to take a third of this, you would get about 4,000. So we're looking for 80. So 2,600's out. We just went over that, that would be 4,000. But even if you don't know, 50% of this is what? 50% of this would be 6,600. So it's over 4,200 because you're not at 60. Let's try D. 10 out of 12. When you get ready to take 2 into both of these numbers, you get 5, 6. And that's a little bit more than 80%. It's more like 83. So these two are in the running. But when you multiply this straight across, C is your answer. It's 9,776. And here's just a recap of what we did. Determine the percentage. And that's it. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, jacobitslearning@gmail.com.